Quick reminder before we dive in. Subscribe to the Wellness Architect podcast on Spotify, Apple or YouTube so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you want to go deeper, where men like us rebuild energy, strength and confidence together, brick by brick, there's a link in the show notes. You're scrolling at 11 o'clock at night, the kids are finally asleep, and your feed is full of shredded 45-year-olds telling you the one thing that changed everything. Weight loss injections, TRT, peptides, drop 2 stone in 12 weeks, turn back the clock on your hormones, and a little voice in your head goes, maybe that's what I need. I've tried everything else. If that is you, then this episode is for you. Welcome back to the Wellness Architect podcast. I am Mark Negrelli, dad of 4, ex-pro footballer and type 1 diabetic, and your slightly sarcastic tour guide through midlife. I help men over 40 build energy, strength and control in a way that fits real life, school drop-offs, work stress, family chaos included. So today we're going to talk about something that is exploding right now. Weight loss jabs and TRT and all the quick fix solutions that seem to be the promise of a brand new body without having to change your actual life. We're going to talk about why these shortcuts are so tempting for men like us, the risks that almost never make it into the Instagram caption, when medical interventions might be right to explore, and the blueprint I want you to follow before you put anything new into your body or onto your credit card. And as always, this is not medical advice. I'm not your doctor. I'm your wellness architect, helping you build a life and a body that you can actually hold the weight of your responsibilities to. All right, let us be honest for a second. If you're a man over 40, there's a good chance that you're tired. Not a little bit sleepy, but bone tired. Your day probably looks like this. You wake up early, you're straight into work mode, you handle your emails, you juggle fires, maybe grab something quick to eat on the go. You come home. You try to be present with your kids, and while your brain is still at work, eat whatever is the easiest, and then collapse on the sofa with your phone. You look in the mirror and you see a belly that was not there 10 years ago. Your patience is shorter than it used to be. Your energy crashes in the afternoon. Your libido is not what it used to be. Then your algorithm serves you a solution. Take this injection, rub this gel, join this 12-week transformation program, watch the fat melt off. And of course, that sounds incredible. You're not lazy. You're already carrying the weight of work, family, bills, and stress. The idea that you could outsource some of that grind to be a prescription, it's very appealing. I get it. There is another layer to this, however. As men, we don't like admitting that we are struggling. We don't want to say, I feel weak. We don't want to say, I'm scared about my health. We definitely do not want to say, I'm worried I will not see my kids grow up. Instead of asking for proper help, we look for something that feels clinical and powerful. A jab, a gel, a hormone therapy, a big stack of supplements. It feels like we're taking control. But sometimes we're just outsourcing the responsibility. This is where the stoic in me steps in. The stoic question is always, what is in my control and what am I trying to hand off because it's uncomfortable? Shortcuts are tempting, don't get me wrong, because they offer a way to skip the uncomfortable work of changing your daily life. But that uncomfortable work is exactly where your comeback lives. Now, I want to be really clear. I'm not here to demonize any medication at all. Modern medicine has saved lives. I'm one of those lives. Without insulin, I'm not talking here to you. So this is not injections are evil or TRT is cheating. What I want to do is talk about the parts of the story that never fit in a 15-second reel. First are the obvious medical risks, side effects, long-term impacts we do not fully understand, interactions with other conditions, and other tablets you might already be on. If you're a pre-diabetic or diabetic and you do not know it yet, playing around with your hormones or appetite in a random way can be like rewiring your house whilst the power is still on. Things can go wrong very, very quickly. Second, there is the financial cost. A lot of these interventions are not cheap. You're talking hundreds a month in some cases. Over a year, that could be a family holiday, a chunk off the mortgage, or some breathing space that your household badly needs. If that money is generally going into something that is medically appropriate and supervised, then that is one conversation. If it's going in yet another desperate attempt to fix what your daily life is still breaking, that is something else. Third, and this is the big one for me, there's the psychological cost. When the story you tell yourself becomes, I can only feel okay if I'm on this injection, or I'm finished as a man unless I'm on TRT, you have handed your power away. You have built your self-worth on prescription. That is not a foundation I want for you. Stoicism teaches that real power is in your character, not your circumstances, in how you respond, not just what you are given. If you use a medication as a tool that supports the work you're already doing on your lifestyle, that's one thing. If you use it to avoid that work, it will always own you. Let us also be balanced. There are men listening to this right now who absolutely should be talking to a doctor. If you have a low mood, no sex drive at all, extreme fatigue, even when sleep and stress are fairly decent, or blood work that shows a genuine hormone problem, then burying your head in the sand is not stoic. That's just stubborn. Stoicism is not about pretending that you're fine. It's about seeing reality clearly and then acting wisely. So here is how I want you to think about it. If you're considering weight loss medication, TRT or anything similar, ask yourself just a few questions. Have I had proper blood tests and a full conversation with a licensed professional who understands my history, my current medical condition, and my family risks? Have I made at least 3 to 6 months of consistent changes to my sleep and movement, stress and food first, so I actually know what my body can do without the extra help? Do I understand the potential side effects and the plan for monitoring them? Do I know what the exit plan is? Or is this something I'm being dropped onto with no long-term roadmap? Am I using this as a tool alongside lifestyle changes or as an escape hatch from the lifestyle change? If you can't answer those questions honestly, you are not ready to start anything. You're ready to get curious and then gather information. Reaching out to your GP, asking for bloods, getting a clear picture of where you are. Bring your partner into the conversation so they're not blindsided by your decisions either. You are not a superhero. You are a human with a nervous system, emotions, and a past and a body that has carried you a long way. Treat it with respect. So, if not a shortcut, then what? How do you actually start a comeback in midlife when time and energy already feel maxed out? This is where I want you to zoom right out and have a look at the structure of your life. Imagine your life as a house. Most men try to renovate the bathroom while the foundations are cracking. New tiles, fancy shower, expensive shower gel that your wife keeps buying, but the house is slowly sinking. The bathroom is the quick fix. The foundations are the boring things that you keep hearing about. Sleep, blood sugar, strength, stress, connection. Here's the framework I use with my clients and in my own life. I call it my real-life comeback blueprint, and it has 4 pillars: the body, the heart, the mind, and meaning. Body is your energy, strength, and blood sugars. For most men, the first step is not a 6-day gym split with heavy deadlifts and sprints. It is 2 strength sessions a week, 30 to 40 minutes that you can actually repeat. It's moving your body after meals, even just to walk around the block. It's putting protein back on the plate and reducing constant grazing and liquid sugar that pushes your blood sugars all over the place. Heart is your relationships and emotional health. Shortcuts don't fix the guilt you feel after snapping at your kids. They do not fix the distance that creeps into your marriage when you're always exhausted and checked out. Something as simple as a weekly walk with your partner, phones away, or eating at the table as a couple on a night, just one night a week, can change more about your life than dropping a stone on the scales. Mind is your stress, your self-talk, your focus. If every bad day ends with you raiding the cupboards or takeaways on the apps, that is not a willpower problem, it's a regulation problem. 5 minutes of breathing, stepping outside in the fresh air, or journaling before bed sounds soft, but stacked over months, it changes how you cope and how quickly you flip your lid. Meaning is legacy, the reason you bother. If the only reason you get in shape is a 6-pack for the summer, you will quit the first time work gets hard or the kids get ill. If your reason is, I want to be a dad who can still play, still travel, still be present in 10 years, that carries you through the dull days when motivation is nowhere to be seen. When you build your comeback on these 4 pillars, something interesting happens. You might still decide to explore medication with your doctor, but you will be doing it from a place of strength, not desperation. You'll be adding a tool to a solid structure, not just using a tool to build the whole thing for you. Now, let me be honest with you. I am not standing on some clean mountain looking down at everyone. I've had plenty of moments where I wanted the shortcut. When I got ill, lost weight rapidly, and got my diagnosis for type 1 diabetes, my whole life flipped. Broken ribs, my ACL on my knee, my energy, all of it. Suddenly, I was not a strong athletic guy I had built my identity on. In those moments, you start bargaining with yourself. If I could just fix something that fixes this quick, I will sort the rest later. But later never comes if you live like that. What actually turned things around for me was not a magic pill. It wasn't a magic injection. It was accepting that, like it or not, I was going to have to become the kind of man who carries this. Daily injections, sensors, new routines, and also new boundaries, new habits and new priorities. I had to stop outsourcing my health to chance and start acting like the architect instead of the tenant. This is what I want for you. I want you to be the architect of your comeback, not just a passenger in somebody else's marketing funnel. So let us make this practical. If you are watching or listening right now and you are considering weight loss jabs, TRT or quick fix, grab a pen or make a mental note. Question 1. What problem am I actually trying to solve? Is it the number on the scales? Is it energy? Is it confidence in my relationship? Is it fear about my long-term health? Name it honestly. A lot of men chase fat loss when they actually really want is to feel respected, capable and desired again. Question 2. Have I given the basics a real shot? Not just a half-hearted 2-week attempt. I'm talking 3 months of 2 strength training sessions a week. More walking, better sleep routine, less liquid sugar and a few late night snacks. If the answer is no, start there. Question 3. What is the downside if this goes wrong or doesn't work? Think about the side effects, money, impact on your mental health, and the example it sets to your kids. If your son or daughter knew every detail of what you were doing or going to do, would you still be proud of that decision? Question 4. Am I being sold to or supported? Is the person recommending this also selling it? Are they promising the world and ignoring the risks? Or are they asking hard questions, referring you to your GP and encouraging lifestyle changes alongside any medical support? Question 5. Does this decision line up with the man I am trying to become? The man you want to be in 10 years, is he built on quick fixes or consistent, boring, powerful habits? If a decision does not line up with that vision of your future you, pause. You do not have to decide tonight. All right, let us land this. If you take nothing else from this episode, take this. You're not broken. You do not need to be saved by a jab, a gel, or a bloody guru. You might need medical support. You might need more information. And you definitely need better structures and support around you. But you are not a problem to be fixed. You are a man in midlife who has been carrying a lot, often in silence. Your comeback will not happen in one big dramatic gesture. It will happen in small, repeatable actions that actually fit your life. So here is what I want you to do next. Step 1, be honest about where you are right now. Write down how many hours sleep, how often you move your body, what you actually eat, and how you feel day to day, not the bravado version, the real version. Step 2, one small change you can stick to for the next 30 days. This might be 2 strength training sessions a week, a 10-minute walk after dinner, or no phones in bed after 10. Nothing fancy, just something your future self will thank you for. Step 3, get plugged into proper support. If you've liked this conversation and want more straight talking help with energy, blood sugar, and building a real life comeback, make sure you're on my email list inside my world. You can subscribe to my newsletter, the Diabetes Digest, where I share simple, real-world strategies for men and dads who want better health without losing their minds. You can also download my free 2-day, 2 times a week midlife comeback routine, which gives you a simple, realistic strength plan you can follow around work and family. You will find the links in the show notes or on my profile. If today's episode has raised questions for you about your own health, please speak to your GP or your healthcare team. Do not self-medicate based on my podcast or anybody else's, and definitely not on ChatGPT. Thank you for hanging out with me today. If this episode hit a nerve, share it with another man who needs to hear it, your brother or a mate from work, or your dad. Midlife is not the end of the story in a decline. It's the point where you decide what kind of man you are and going to be for the next chapter. You're not too old and you are not too far gone. You just need a better plan and a bit of backup without all the confusion. Thanks for listening to today's podcast. Don't forget, build it, live it. See you next week.